Welcome to A Brief History of Conspiracy. Yeah, please, if you're new to our channel, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Right, so a few weeks ago we did an episode on the Younger Dryas event, and the big thing that is, there's a big theory basically that the Younger Dryas event, this blip in the ice age, and a big climate change over a 100-year period, was caused by meteorite strikes. I've always had a problem with that, in that I don't understand how a meteorite strike can cause temperature increases, 10-degree temperature increases. The other thing being, actually, that there's two of these temperature increases, isn't there, about 100 years apart, which I think was two impact.
No, 1,200 years apart.
1,200 years apart, apologise. The interesting thing about that is both temperature increases were the same. Both were
about a 10 degree increase combined with the 300 feet sea level rise.
Which suggests actually it was more likely that it was a similar after effect. Those asteroids would have to have been the same size and hit roughly in the same place to cause the same impact.
Which is very, very coincidental slash implausible, almost, in my mind.
But also, I don't see how it creates a temperature increase. For my thinking is, you get an impact. You get fires, which would cause an impact, but it would be quite localised. And then you get a nuclear winter, if it's a big enough impact.
Well, they theorise that it was an asteroid that hit the North American ice shelf that
melted the ice
shelf. Yeah. Now, because of the lack of reflection from all of that melted ice that was previously reflecting a load of the sun's, therefore a lot more heat's retained. So that would be...
Yeah, but then you wouldn't get a sudden spike in temperature like we got. The spike in temperature took about a year, and we had a temperature massive increase, and we got a 10-degree centigrade increase in a year. I made the argument in the video that it's some sort of runaway global warming effect, like we're terrified of now. And we made the point at the time, didn't we, of it's unlikely because it's so sudden, it's so rapid. So there are some other theories that go around, basically. Right, for one, we know the Ice Age was caused, or we believe the Ice Age is caused by the sun. The Earth has a wobble to its orbit, and every so many thousand years, the Northern Hemisphere ends up being aimed away from the sun more than usual, and we get an Ice Age. For my thinking, is the only thing that could cause this sort of impact, this suddenly, is the sun.
The weird thing is between the two spikes, the temperature spikes, and the massive sea level rises, it then goes through a period of cooling between the two massive spikes as well, which...
But that's what I think...
Which again coincides very well with some kind of activity from the sun, some kind of solar activity.
So, one of the theories that goes around is this thing called a micronova.
Yeah.
Right? And we all know there are flares. So solar flares happen all the time. We're very worried about protecting our satellites and our power systems from this, because there's an EM thing. We're normally protected from solar flares by our electromagnetic field of the Earth generates.
Yeah, magnetic core generates.
Should be worried about because it's weakening at the moment, because I think the pole is going to flip, and actually our magnetic field is much weaker than it has been in the past at the moment, which is again a natural thing. It does weaken and strengthen at times. So if we were to be hit by a big solar flare, now is not the time. But anyway, but this micronova thing is something bigger. It's something on a much larger scale. And we have seen this happen in the galaxy. There's 10 or 12 recorded instances where we have seen what we thought was a supernova, a mass ejection of material
from another star. Yep.
But then the star's actually still there afterwards. So we know that a supernova destroys the star. Whatever this was didn't
destroy the star.
So, and we also know the sun has a cycle. So we've recorded it. We're in roughly the 10th cycle at the moment, I believe, of the sun. It strengthens and weakens, and we're in a weaker period at the moment. So we know the sun has a cycle. So, and we've talked before about this 12,000 years thing. about how there seems to be from recordings that every 12,000 years or so, something happens.
Major happens that seems to impact the human species on this planet significantly. Well, not just the human species, all the species on the planet.
I mean,
you see mass extinctions, don't you? Roughly every 12,000 years. Not to the level of the mass extinction of the dinosaurs, perhaps 65 million years ago, but still significant extinctions of significant numbers of species. I think there's about 50 mega mammals, weren't there, or megafauna that went extinct in the last one in North America.
And human numbers dropped to thousands.
Yeah,
it's instead of
20,000, didn't they? We reckon it maybe at a low point.
I mean, they reckon that to have have enough genetic material to continue a species, you need about 10,000 humans. Money less than that, and the species can't really survive. So to have a healthy chance of re-expanding the numbers. So going down to 20,000 or so, that's pushing it. So yeah, the sun has a cycle. We've recorded that cycle. We see it now. So to say that there could be like a 12,000 year cycle that we're not currently aware of, it's possible.
It is very possible, because the observation period is that long that no individual human would ever be able to observe it.
Well, exactly.
And therefore it would only be able to observe it.
And if you do see it, you go, oh, look at
generations.
that. Dead.
Yes.
So I believe that it is possible that the sun could have some sort of cycle that we're not currently aware of, and it could be perfectly normal in its life. We have the magnetic field that protects us from being completely destroyed, but it seems to me that some sort of mass ejection, very large. If it's just if it has to be something as well that's 360 degrees, that's total. So, because if it was just that every so often there was a very large...
well, that's the reason we escape a lot of solar flares, isn't it? Is because it's not...
They don't hit us.
It's not an equilateral distribution of electromagnetic radiation.
It's like shooting a gun. And
exactly. It's like
but hitting the earth is like trying to hit a bullet with a bullet. It's not.
It's
incredibly difficult.
Incredibly difficult to act. Yeah, so that's why we survive and don't experience a lot of the solar flares.
Yeah. But if there is this regular 12,000 year thing where it is total, it would hit us definitely, and an enormous energy wave. And this would be plasma. It would be EM energy. It would be radiation. It would be a massive ejection of energy hitting our atmosphere.
Well, they also reckon not just energy. They reckon actual mass, actual particles.
Yeah, actual material.
So they reckon anything from like the size of dust particles up to the size of planets could be ejected from the.
Really, planets? That's a lot of material.
It is a lot of material, isn't it?
Yeah,
but that's what they went up to in a video I was
that's
watching.
insane.
And it is phenomenal, isn't it, that you could think that the sun could eject a planet's worth of.
Well, 99% of the material in the solar system is the sun.
Yeah.
It's
almost
all of the matter in the sun, in our solar system is the sun. So, I mean, so this is the thing. If this is possible, it is a blast.
Yep.
And it would for me it makes more sense that this is what caused the Younger Dryas than I've got a butterfly on my leg. That this caused the Younger Dryas than an impact from a meteor that would be so regular. So, what evidence do we have then to say that this is what happened?
We've got the ice core samples from
both
poles and Greenland that pretty much show the 12,000 year cycle that we're
pretty regular.
Pretty regular.
I saw a guy, big number 4. I saw saying the mainstream science no longer believes this is evidence for this solar mass because there's an increase in nitrates on the layer, and they said fires can cause that. I'm like, yeah. What do you think caused the fires? Surely doesn't that make sense? A 10-degree increase in global temperatures would cause massive fire. You know, you have massive changes in temperature. Areas that were once wet would all very suddenly become very dry, and you'd have fires. So that doesn't. The two don't negate each other for me. You can't. It can't be that because of this. And I'm like, yeah, it could be both. But that's just my thinking.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah.
Bradley Schaefer wrote a book a few years ago, and he said that there was evidence that at some point within the last 30,000 years or so, the sun had a period of about 10 years to 100 years or so, where it was 100 times brighter than it is now. And that's insane. That 100 times brighter than it is today. You go and stand out in the Sahara, where it's 45 degrees, and feel the energy of the sun.
Oh, yeah. And then imagine
100 times brighter. That would cause fires.
Oh, yeah. That would fireball Earth, would possibly. 100 times.
That's insane, isn't it? And they've got evidence for it, though, as well. Because they found, when looking at moon rocks, that there's this, like a glass effect, and this, like, black glass, or marbleization of the stones.
Right.
Which then suddenly makes me start thinking about there's several missions we went to the moon. I've never really quite understood why we kept going back.
Yeah, the extra Apollo missions once we landed there.
Go once, go twice. Apollo 13 happens, and it was nearly a disaster. You'd think, you know what, that's enough. But they didn't. They went back several more times. Yeah. Was it 7 times in total? 6 or 7 times?
7, I think, wasn't it? Maybe, yeah.
So, they kept going back for something. They were trying to find something. Was it evidence of this?
Quite possibly.
Trying to learn more about it, which we're going to go into more in a minute. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure the public are never given the full truth as to the exact intent of the moon missions. I believe that there was probably some scientific experimentation that was underlying the return missions. It makes a lot of sense because
it feels like they were checking to me. It feels like they were trying to gather the evidence to check something they already knew.
Yeah.
Or already believed.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Going into this more evidence, there's a Corey Good, who's a bit of a character when it comes to this. He says he worked for the secret space program, and he's been on the base on the moon, Lunar Operations Command, which is a good name, and he says that this happened, and that he actually said that between 2018 and 2019, at the bottom of the current decrease in energy that the sun's putting out, that this would happen. So any time now, folks, this, if all of a sudden you see a flash of light in the sky, worry.
Well, yeah, quite possibly.
But now this guy's actually pretty believable when you watch him interviews and things. Okay. And he talks about the secret space program, and he's got details and stuff. He then, for me, goes a little off because he then starts talking about the Anshar. I'm probably not saying that right. Anshar.
Okay.
Descendants of future time travelers that send him information psychically. Okay. I start going, God damn it! I was so with you until he started talking about the Anshar. I'm not saying he's not, and if one of them starts talking to me, my immediate thing will be to go and get mental health treatment.
Probably.
But then when the doctor says I'm fine, I'm going to be like, okay, fair enough. But I'm sort of the same on God, really, to be honest. I don't really believe in God, but if I end up at the pearly gates, I'll be like, okay, sorry. Can I come in?
But that makes sense if there was a major cataclysm about 12,000 years ago that wiped us out to nearly 20,000 people, and the only thing that was left were the stories of the major cataclysm and the stories of the times before the major cataclysm.
It's something you'd mention to your children.
It is.
And it is a story that would continue.
And all world religions are prevalent with the with catastrophic events.
You have to say why. What were they hiding from? Unless they had just lived through, or were continuing to live through, because we're also assuming this cycle of this thing would be one event, like a massive bang. It might not be. It might be like a bang, 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 like an earthquake. You have like pre-shocks, and then a big event, and then aftershocks. It might be that type of thing. I tell you what, every time I come up into the attic to record one of these things, I think she loves me a little less.
Yeah.